It's wonderful to be here today at the Together with Nasscom series, and this is episode number 2. Today, we are going to be talking about one of the most important phenomena that is faced by corporates in India, which is the dropping off of women from the workforce. And what should we do to bring them back? What should we do to make sure that these women, educated, well-trained, with work experience, actually make it back into the workplace? And to discuss this very important topic on today's panel, I have with me 3 amazing, incredible leaders, and I'm just going to introduce them very briefly to you in alphabetical order. So I will begin with Jennifer Green Godette of Cognizant. Cognizant, as you know, is an avatar and Paramount best company for women in India. And Jennifer is a diversity, equity, and inclusion and belongingness leader at Cognizant, which, as we know, is a Fortune 200 company with over 350,000 employees located around the world. Jennifer is a senior leader on Cognizant's D&I team, and the team was recently awarded the 2023 I&D Team of the Year award by World's 50 DI community. Jennifer works with clients and strategic partners on DI and B initiatives and partnership opportunities. Plus, she is super relevant in today's conversation because she leads the global returnship program for Cognizant. Wonderful to have you with us today, Jennifer.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here and participate in the discussion.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I now move on to Milind Nerurkar, Managing Director at Citi. Welcome, Milind. Wonderful to have you here with us today. Citi, as we all know, is a top 10 best company for women in India in the Avatar and Paramount list. And Milind, who manages Asia ISG Technology, and he's the head for it, is also the chair for Citi India's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council. Citi, as we know, is a 32,000 strong organization, and I'm proud to say that was my first alma mater and the first job that I held. It's wonderful, Milind, to have you here, and we know of the amazing work being done by Citi.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. Good to be here.
Thank you so much. And now let me introduce Puja Bhatia, Executive Vice President at Teleperformance. Puja has had a fabulous career span of 19 plus years, where she has managed training delivery for international and domestic verticals. And right now at Teleperformance, Puja leads diversity, equity, and inclusion for India, while also being part of the global DEI board for Teleperformance. She has created learning academies for non-core functions like finance, analytics, and so on, and is very, very passionate about learning and has created strategies such as employee centricity, career tree, mentorship, and so on. Puja, awesome to have you here today, and a warm welcome to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Saundarya. It's a pleasure to be here and to discuss such an important topic.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And so with that, let's get into the heart of today's session. Today's session is super crucial, where we speak about why the Indian woman professional in increasing numbers is dropping off the workplace, and what kind of career models will actually bring her back. Is it a question of skilling? Is it a question of the kinds of policies that we have to have? Or is it a simple issue of breaking stereotypes in the minds of talent managers to make sure that women who've taken a break in career are welcomed back? The statistics are harsh and they are stark. 49% of India's enrolled university graduates are women. Therefore, the gap between educational attainment of men and women in this country has, veritably closed. But yet, 48% of all Indian women under the age of 30 take a break in career at least once. And only 18% of this make it back into the workplace by way of a second career route. Now, why should we discuss this and why is this so important? It's because with every woman who drops off the workplace in India, we move more and more into a workplace that's hardly gender diverse and one that actually puts India absolutely low on the gender balance scorecard. At Avatar, the organization that I lead as its founder president, we have worked with over 1 lakh of women professionals who we have brought back into the workplace. So in today's discussion, it is our effort to try and see what should be done in order to motivate these women to come back, and what have organizations like Citi, like Cognizant and Teleperformance, which actually fare very highly in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion practices within their organizations, what have they done to make sure that this returnship is a reality? So with that, a very warm welcome once again to everybody who's watching this show and to my amazing panelists. And before I get into the questions, I'd like to hear some opening remarks from each of you. Jennifer, over to you for your opening remarks.
I'm so glad to be here today. For opening remarks, we're definitely seeing this as an issue globally, so not just in India, but I will say that we have put a huge focus on India with what we've created, a returnship program. So this is specifically for anyone who, has work experience, has taken a break for whatever reason. The breaks vary from someone taking time to focus on their family to someone taking time to deal with a sick relative, even someone who may explore a field outside of the technology field. But we've created a program where we are focused on, reskilling, mentorship, coaching, all in an effort to bring more people back into the workforce.
Absolutely fabulous, Jennifer, and it's a matter of great fabulous to hear from you on this. Milind, over to you for your opening remarks.
Yeah, thank you. And as Jennifer mentioned, thank you for inviting us. Before talking on India, it's important to know that we actually have a global program for returning women, and it is part of what we call the D&I program. And it has been run pretty successfully. We actually started on the technology side. Over a period of time, we have extended this to all the functions we have in Citi. We have run this successfully without quoting numbers. Every year for the last 4 years, we are hiring more than 3-digit numbers in Citi under returning. And I think possibly, just to take a lead from what you said, Doctor, I think it's important that we create awareness that Citi is welcoming, right? We do the branding, and the rest of it, I think what Jennifer also mentioned in terms of reskilling. And it is, when Citi hires people, whether it is under DEI or it is under returning women, we hire people to have careers with us. So Citi does not just hire people, let's say the returning women, we actually want to see them getting into leadership positions. So we mentor them, we give them exposure, we take timely feedback from them. Because for us, hiring number is as important as all these women being successful in leadership positions with us. Thank you, Doctor.
Absolutely. Wonderfully said, Milind. I think that conviction and the investment being made by the organization is what translates into long careers. And even if that career has had a break and somebody wants to make an intentional return back into the workplace, I think the welcoming hands of an organization like Citi are what make a difference. So let me now move to Puja for your opening remarks. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Saundarya. Like I mentioned, it's a pleasure to be discussing this crucial aspect. And we at Teleperformance, D&I has been a focus over a period of last couple of years. Now, when we are working on D&I, obviously there are ERGs, and we have a very successful ERG, which is called TP Women. Now, we especially on returnship, we started this as a part of that ERG. However, looking at how important and crucial this aspect and the attention that needs to be given, it is being running as a separate project, and we call it Homecoming. Okay.
Oh.
And, it's about the reason it's Homecoming is we first wanted to retain our internal talent. And like Dr. Saundarya, you mentioned, when we looked at the data, without quoting the numbers, it was starking how many young women or women in leadership position, they had to take a break, and a large percentage is not coming back. So
Absolutely.
we had to look internally to see what is it that we can do, or what is it that we are not doing to support them to come back, because honestly, we're losing out on talent. So therefore, a huge amount of focus on this specific aspect that Teleperformance has been working on.
Powerful, powerful opening remarks by everybody on the panel here today, as we are discussing on the Together with Nasscom series, why it is so very important for organizations to focus on returning women. My first question of this evening goes to you, Jennifer, and I begin not on a sober note, but on one of congratulations. Sampurna Rath, engineering manager at Cognizant, won Avatar's Inspiring Second Career Woman Award in 2023. And
Yes.
she did that because she presented a very powerful case of how she made that return. And we also discovered, Jennifer, that you yourself had very recently been featured as a woman who inspires us by the People Results magazine. I just wanted to ask you, what does it take to be an inspiring second career woman? What do you think are the aspects that makes a second career woman deeply inspiring?
I think well, first of all, I want to congratulate Sampurna because that was such a wonderful award for her to receive. We're so proud of her. Her entire team speaks so highly of her. But I think that's part of it. She joined Cognizant. She dove into whatever was offered, everything from training to mentoring to getting to know leadership. And, she's known throughout the organization, but she has aspirations. She's a hard worker. She believes in herself. And I think she's great at developing relationships as well. And I think all of those came together to help her win this award. But I think just in terms of being inspiring, it's figuring out what it is you want and going after it and working hard to achieve it. And having a positive attitude as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jennifer. In fact, when you described what Sampurna had done, that was like a template. It was like a framework that one could just use in order for return to be successful, in order for that second career to actually be a fruitful, successful, more powerful, stint than your career the first time around. Thank you so much. Those were great points. Milind, I'm now going to move to a very different side of second careers. And I'm going to be appealing to your vast experience in operational risk, because you're a business leader that has looked at this, for multiple geographies. And I want to ask you, would you think that when women make that re-entry, they perceive a great deal of risk? Do you think that, in order to create a sustainable career path, women actually have to take risks? What are your thoughts on this, Milind?
Yeah, I think, before I start answering you, Dr. Saundarya, I need to, you said congratulations to our organization. I want to say congratulations to Avatar and organizations such as you who are doing fantastic work out there, right? It is in partnership, we do what we do. Coming back to your question, I think risk, whether it's a returning woman or anybody, risk is always there. right? Are you taking the right decision in joining a company? It's gender agnostic, it's function agnostic, it's industry agnostic. What is important is, are people taking an informed risk, right? You don't need to get into something which is 100% risk, whether it's operations, whether it's finance, whether it's marketing. So having that information available to the returning women is very important, so that they can evaluate whether they want to, let's say, join Citi in this place, and who better to put that in that information space than our existing women. So branding is very important, right? So, and when I talk of branding, it is not branding in an electronic media or in some press. It is the branding and the support we get from our existing women, saying this is a good place, this is a safe place. And Citi, I'm sorry if I'm repeating, that Citi does not hire, Citi wants to create careers for you. So I think it's important that every person who joins us, and again, I will go and say it's gender agnostic, knows what risk they are taking, if you want to call it risk. And as long as an information is available in that space, there is some people who can talk about it with them, we do it. And just to give an example, anybody joining us, we actually, even before they join us, we actually have people talking with them, right? Saying this is what we do, these are the opportunities, even before they join. So anybody who joins has more or less a lot of information with them, which will make them confident in joining or not joining. And not joining is not on the plate here. As I said, we are doing more than 3-digit numbers every year. And not only doing that in terms of hiring, most of them we are able to retain. So I think it's a good success story for us. And once again, thank you to organizations like Avatar and you for helping us in this space. Thank you
so much. Thank you, Milind. And, when you were speaking about the calculated risk, in sense of, you have to assess what options are there, and you have to kind of, make that right choice. And I think when companies like all of you who are featured here today, when you give them such confidence building communication by your own, brands, which are your women professionals, I think it makes a great deal of, sense for the women to choose you to come back, in their second attempt. Thank you, Milind, for that. I'm now moving across to you, Puja. And, we are speaking about the skills necessary for women to actually make a comeback. But I'm going to kind of, move a little different from that, given that you are a learning expert. What do you think are the key learning aspirations of women returnees of late? Have you observed anything unique about women as they make that re-entry into the workplace today? Is it any different? What are your thoughts?
Before I move, it's not only learning. I'll take, when we started this journey, it was expected, taking care of D&I and being a learning and development professional. So the first thing that everybody reached out to me is, Puja, if we can have a program which is to upskill for mothers or women who want to return. And when you start interacting, I'll take a step back. Even before, what is it that they need to learn or they want to learn? The first thing is letting them know and helping them get over the fear of losing out, that I've lost out. Okay. And it's going to be very difficult for me to come back. The second aspect is trying to feel that I was at an X level. Now, because I'm coming back, I would have to go 2 steps down in order to learn, or my colleagues at that point of time have now, grown in the system, are at a certain level where I would have to report into them. So getting over that is the first aspect. Then comes learning. So the idea that we started focusing on is, and like you mentioned, we have women coming back who've taken a break for 6 months, 1 year to 15 years. Now, the learning requirements would be different, but the core competencies and the skill and giving them that confidence where they come up and tell us, that this is what I want to learn. If it's long term, obviously they need to be aware of what is happening in the industry. So the first thing that you need to do is give them a view of what is happening, and then let them decide. And the most important aspect that we've seen is, and it's in more than 60%, is they don't come back in the same function that they were working before, because their function has evolved. They come back with aspiration of learning more on how technology is working, how business is getting supported. And believe you me, women who come back, who have that will to come back, they're already more than enough prepared. There are two of them in my team where I took them in learning and development to go ahead and train people on certain aspects, because they were qualified, they've upgraded themselves so much. And that is where we've seen the change happening. So to answer Saundarya, first thing is, we need to have a structured way of understanding what their need is and let it come from them, rather than an organization trying to impose that this is what you should learn. Have that way. That's what the focus has been.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Puja. I think that was so emphatically stated, and thank you for some practical experiences and examples, that you shared. At Avatar, we actually have something called a solutions clinic. And we have a lot of women who reach out to us and who are then counseled on their careers. In fact, specifically on their re-entry strategy. This is something that we all have noticed. It's not specific to India. It's actually prevalent around the globe. But women leave science, technology, engineering, and math fields, the STEM sciences, at higher rates than men do. And the COVID pandemic kind of, exacerbated this problem. So when companies came back, and when, some of the interventions that were there during the pandemic, like the hybrid working, remote working, and so on, when we came back to a new normal, we are actually looking at ways in which, how can we ensure that, this gender gap that's constantly widening is kind of, stemmed. So one of the things that we do at Avatar is, how do we improve the women's confidence in their soft skills? And one of the things we've noticed again is that this soft skill confidence is a great predictor for workplace retention. And women who have that confidence and soft skills, who are able to say, yes, I know that this is a challenge, but I am going to be able to circumvent it. I'm going to be able to, move away from it, is something that, really adds value to their profiles and to their contribution as a second career woman to an organization. Moving on to Jennifer again. Jennifer, you are the global returnship project leader at Cognizant. Now, how has this path of returnship actually evolved? I mean, is it different prior to COVID? Is it different post-COVID? Are breaks, for instance, becoming a gender agnostic phenomenon? Because we are very worried about women taking breaks and not coming back. But should we probably be worried about men taking breaks and not coming back too? What are your thoughts on this?
Yes. Well, I would say that at Cognizant, we did not launch our returnship program until the pandemic. It was actually launched in 2021. And since our launching, we've had more than 150 people go through the program. Our program is open to men and women, but we have found that about 90% of the participants are women. So yes, I do feel that, everyone may take a career break for some reason. So of course, many women take a career break because they've had a child and they want to stay home and focus on their family. But, I'd mentioned we've had people go through our returnship program who maybe have cared for a sick relative. We've had others who've worked on being an entrepreneur and weren't as successful as they thought. So they decided to come back to the technology industry. So it is definitely open to men and women. And I think it should be. And I would add that I myself did take a short career break. Mine was only about 6 months. But that was something that I found it was a time for me to focus on my mental health. This was years ago, but I just wanted to take some time out and focus on myself for a bit. And I had chosen the route of taking a leave of absence with my company. So I took a leave of absence, but was able to go back to a very similar job. But I think that those sorts of opportunities should be available to everyone, regardless of gender.
Oh, that's beautifully said. And yes, these are some of the things that we actually guide and counsel women professionals who are looking at making that comeback. I'm often asked, what do I do to emerge from my break? And the answer that invariably comes from me is, please avoid the break. Please avoid taking a career break, because coming back from it, especially, in India, for a majority of the women, is an absolutely uphill task. And one of the key requirements of a woman being able to make that successful comeback is the presence of allies within her environment. And that brings me to a question to you, Milind. In this panel, of course, you're the only male member in this discussion. But we also know that you are a staunch DEI ally. And you have directly and with your leadership empowered the careers of many, many women at Citi. And I want to ask you, as an ally, what do you think men should do to make the returnship of women, the career returns of women, a smoother experience?
Okay, I think I would answer it this way, Dr. Saundarya. I think there is something called a need, right? And when you talk of need, the need is not of the individual who wants to join us, right? We also look at it saying, Citi has a need for this talent to join us back, right? We need to marry the need of the individual with the need as an organization we have. The need may come in terms of hiring somebody, a talent, and Citi always looks at people not as hiring resources, but as hiring talent. So the need basically defines who would like to come to us, and we do what we need to do to encourage that. Two is, once somebody joins us, we just make sure the manager and the team is respecting the choice of that individual who had taken a break, right? We always believe not in tolerating a choice, but we respect a choice. And that is very important. So on the ground, when somebody joins us, we make sure there is total coherence in terms of people mentoring that person, reskilling that person, not making that person, isolated in terms of saying this is somebody who's returned from job. Mingling is very important. Buddyship is very important. So welcoming an individual, again, gender diverse, gender agnostic is very important. So I think that one of the first things a person should do, or any individual in a company should do, is welcome that person and take it upon them to make sure this gentleman or this lady who has joined us back is successful in our career. So acceptance and respect is key for anybody who joins us.
Beautifully said, beautifully said. And that, I think, kind of becomes the bedrock of the organization culture and the way people experience their workplace. I mean, there is this saying, by Gallup, which says that people don't leave organizations, they leave their managers. Yeah. And it is when trust and respect are available in abundance that people truly build those engaging careers, with their organizations. So I'm now going to move over, Puja, to ask you this question about, what do you think are the non-negotiables that an organization should actually have? Of course, Milind spoke about culture, and Jennifer spoke about different ways in which that re-entry can happen. In your experience, both at Teleperformance and your observation of second career women around you, what do you think are those non-negotiables in an organization which will help companies engage better with this talent pool of second career women?
Sure, Saundarya, and before I answer, Milind, I must say there are two things that I completely resonate, and Teleperformance and Citi think alike, is hire for success. Okay, that has been our mantra, that it's not only hiring, because at times when you take a goal, it's about it's not getting the numbers, but hire for success. So they are successful. And the second thing is making that culture. And Saundarya, that is one of the aspects which is non-negotiable, to have the existing leadership managers be aware of the fact that when we are looking at returnship, first thing, it's not a CSR. The organization gains equal, if not more, than when we are hiring an individual. Because if it's from the same organization, they come with that experience. And while they have been on a break, believe you me, they have experience which is far more enriching than being staying in the organization. The second thing, if they're from the organization, they understand your culture. You don't need to seed in the new culture. And they become your ambassadors, their knowledge, their expertise that they bring in. And when they come back and you develop the culture and welcome that back, the retention that you would get is going to be far more than an employee who has been with you. So it's one thing which is non-negotiable is when we are hiring is making that cultural shift exist with the existing employees. Because if you go ahead and hire and promote yourself, you get employees who are coming, returning mothers, and they don't get the experience or the support that is needed, and they're constantly judged. That is just not acceptable. So first, we spent almost an year developing the culture. I was asked constantly, Puja, when are you getting the numbers? Okay, this is in 2020, Puja, this is the time we need the numbers. Till the time we are not ready, our employees, we would never be 100% ready. But you need to ensure that when they join in, they get the experience and they're successful. That is one thing that we believe we need to do.
Super, Puja. Thank you so much. That was, when the intent of the organization is powerfully communicated, I think the talent pool really receives it in right measure. Last year at Avatar, we embarked upon a longitudinal study of over 113 cities in India, which we then ranked on the basis of the top cities for women in India. And in this exercise, we had cities that had a population of above, above 1 million being listed separately, and those below 1 million being listed separately. While each city had a very different flavor in terms of what kind of enablers were available, what was the ease of pursuing a career for a woman, what kind of infrastructure was available, one of the things that we noticed was across all of these cities, we had women in large numbers who were keen on pursuing careers, who are keen on making a comeback. Over 70 lakh women in India have dropped out of the workplace over the past 15 to 20 years, and they are keenly looking to making that comeback into the workplace. So I think, in today's amazing conversation that we have had over the past half an hour, I think we have touched upon all of the major factors, not only from the woman's side, but also from the organization side, as to how to enable women to make that comeback a very successful one. It's been a wonderful, 30 minutes sharing thoughts with each one of you on this panel. And now we are at the end of the session. And by way of your closing remarks, I'd like very few brief words from each one of you on what would be your message to the woman who's seeking that re-entry into the workplace. Let's begin with you, Puja, first.
It was an amazing conversation. I'm taking back so much. And Dr. Saundarya, anyways, Avatar, since the time it has been launched, it has been one of the Bibles. When we answer the questions, we look at what is our action planning needs to be. Okay, what is it that we need to focus on? So a few message for the women who want to come back is, when we say returnship as an organization or organization across, we don't not only mean women who have worked before and they want to come back. We need to understand that women who are highly educated, but because of certain reasons, choices, at their stage of life, they decided not to work. The returnship program is even welcoming them. It's for everyone. It's also including male members at times to go ahead and support their female family members to be able to come back. If either one of them need to take a break, our male members also need to feel confident that if they go ahead and take a break and encourage their mothers, their wives to come back to work, that they would also, whenever they would want to come back, organizations would be equally welcoming.
Super.
So that is my last message.
Super, super. Thank you so much. Milind, over to you. What would you like to give by way of advice, inspiration, guidance to women seeking a comeback?
I think they should not hold themselves back. I'll try and go slightly ahead of it. I really don't see why a woman should be taking a break, frankly, right?
Yeah.
And normally a woman takes a break because either her husband is moving shop, and right, two is obviously because she's getting into the family space. What Citi does is, Citi is pretty flexible when a woman wants to go on leave, an existing employee. We do try to be flexible in terms of extended leave, in terms of work from home, in terms of half a day work. So I think it's important that over a period of time, a lot of organizations like Citi have changed, and they have changed for better. And women, and again, as Puja said, it's gender agnostic. Anybody who wants to come back, they need to be confident that they will be taken care of. They just need to get their talent. They need to have the right attitude. And I don't see any reason why their career will not flourish with us. I think just have comfort, get some information about the organization, talk with a few people, and Citi is open to hire you.
Fabulous. Jennifer, over to you for your closing remarks.
Well, in closing, first, I want to thank you, Doctor, for leading the discussion today. It's been so insightful, and for Nasscom as well for hosting this. So if I want to have words for anyone who's returning to the workforce, I would say first and foremost, if you've taken a break, think about the things that you did during your break that are transferable skills. Maybe you volunteered someplace, maybe you had a job someplace that may not have been as big as your previous job, but you learned some skills. I'd say just figure out what those skills are and how they can relate to this new career that you're embarking on. And I would echo what Milind said in terms of being confident. So you just have to believe in yourself, believe that you can be successful, believe that you will find the job that's the best fit for you. And whenever you're walking into a room, into a space, into a Zoom meeting, just display that confidence. So that's how I would close.
Fantastic. How wonderful that was to listen to three spectacular speakers today who shared so much, not only about what their own respective organizations do to promote and encourage and welcome returning women back into the workplace, but also some very practical, inspiring tips for every woman out there who's looking to make that comeback, whether it be the transferability of the skills gained in whichever form of experience that you've had, or it is the confidence with which you approach your re-entry strategy, or the fact that if you can avoid the break, if you can not take the break, well, that's going to be the best thing that you can. But if you should do, then plan your break very well. Make sure that you are intentional about coming back into the workplace. This is together with Nasscom, and in this episode, we spoke about the power of welcoming women back into India Inc. Thank you so much for joining us today. And please leave your comments. And if there is a discussion point that you'd like us to speak more about, we will make sure to respond to you. Thank you so much. And Nasscom, it was fantastic to anchor this discussion. Thank you so much for this opportunity. This is Dr. Saundarya Rajesh, founder president of Avatar, signing off. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For more content on tech and leadership, Subscribe to Nasscom YouTube channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.